I'm Andrea Giles, and you're listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, episode number 60, How to Ask Good Questions. Hello, and welcome to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, where courageous women learn not only to heal from their spouse's betrayal, but to become the boldest, truest, most decisive, and confident versions of themselves ever. If you know there's more for you than the life you're currently living, but don't quite know how to get there, you are in the right place. Stick around to learn how to create a life that will knock your own socks off. Is it possible? It is, and I'm here to show you how. I'm your host, Andrea Giles. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 60. I hope everybody's doing well. I wanted to just say thank you for those of you who have reached out and commented and given me feedback recently. I love hearing from you. I've heard some of you comment about the podcast about grief last week, which I appreciate. I appreciate hearing from you. So thank you. I like to know where I can help and where you're feeling stuck and want to help you move forward. So if there's things that you want further understanding on, further clarification, please email me, Andrea@AndreaGiles.com. I will get it. I will respond. And I will take into consideration everything that I hear from you. Okay. So I also want to just say that I mentioned last time, I believe, that I've opened up as many spots as I can for one-on-one coaching before I leave on maternity leave. It's coming up. I am due in December, so it's a coming. And I have hired a incredible coach, Mickey Gardner. She's incredible. She's a really, really good coach. And she is going to be subbing for me while I am out, for those of you who start working with me and want to continue having one-on-one sessions. So you'll be able to either continue working with her while I'm out, or you can hold off until I come back. And that works too. But I'd love to help people, especially as we head into the holidays. If you have been sitting on the fence, now is the time. Come talk to me. You can come book a call with me, AndreaGiles.com, and let's see if we can get rolling. I want to help as many of you as I can possibly fit in before I'm out for a little while. Okay, so on to today's topic, how to ask good questions. So let's talk about what that means. Okay, so what coaching is, it's where we learn how to question our thoughts. It's where we learn how to separate the difference between circumstances and thoughts. So most of us have lived our whole life just taking our thoughts for granted, not really thinking about them, not really noticing that they're thoughts, not even noticing that the thoughts that we're thinking are not actually facts, right? Like, circumstances are the hard, cold, boring facts of a situation. The thoughts are what we make it mean, all the things that we think about it. And I'm going to give you an example that happened recently with a client. So I give my clients homework every week. Some of them love doing homework and just soak it up and eat it up. Some of them don't. And I always meet my clients where they are. Like, I'm never going to force them to do homework, and they get a lot out of just coming to our calls every week. But I do offer homework to everybody who wants it. And I gave one particular client a homework assignment to write down all of her judgments of herself. And on the call, I had noticed a few different times, and in more than one session, where she had some kind of blanket statements that she said about herself. And so I asked her to go write down all of the judgments, just let it loose, write it down. So she brought it to the call the next week, and she had sent it to me so I could go over it. And it was just so fascinating to be able to show her how most of the things that she wrote down were thoughts, almost all of them. There were like one or two that were actually circumstances, and the rest of them were just thoughts that she has about herself, right? And the beautiful thing is that our thoughts are optional always. They're optional. We don't have to believe them. And you know what? Circumstances too. When we can change our circumstances, knock yourself out, right? If you can change them, if there's a behavior that you don't love, like if you like here's one that I'm working on. Like at night, I get kind of hungry, but I notice that when I eat at night, I'm really uncomfortable all night long. So it's not like a bad habit. It's more like weighing my options and going, okay, if I do eat something, if I eat something lighter, then it doesn't sit so heavy all night. If I eat something heavier, like ice cream, I'm just going to be uncomfortable all night long. And so it's just choices, but it doesn't mean anything about me personally, right? So I can change the circumstance and go, I think I'm going to eat like some fruit instead of a bowl of ice cream, right? So it's just interesting when you notice, like on paper, how many things that you are more than likely thinking about yourself that are just thoughts. That's it. Okay. And this is the work that I do on myself all the time in my own self coaching. So by the end of this episode, you are going to know how to self coach at a deeper level. I'm going to teach you this so that you can do this work for yourself. Okay. Now, there are high quality questions and low quality questions. Okay. Low quality questions will keep you going round and round and either will keep you stuck in the same thought pattern you're in, or it will take you down into a spiral of more negativity. Okay. High quality questions will give you traction. You will feel yourself shift. You'll have to think at a higher level. You'll feel the crunch in your brain. It can be uncomfortable, almost like working out a hard math problem. Like it can feel like a strain, but you will feel a shift because you are using your brain. You're thinking differently. It will shift the emotion. You will feel something move in your body. Okay. So first, I'm going to give you some examples of low quality questions. And then we're going to move on to the rest of the podcast, which is all going to be about high quality questions. Okay. Low quality examples would be like, let's say that you have a circumstance of, to my example of like, I just ate a bowl of ice cream. Okay. A low quality question would be, what is wrong with me? Like if I ate it right before bed and knew that I was going to be uncomfortable and did it anyway, right? Heaven forbid. What is wrong with me? Okay. What do you think that's going to do? Okay. My brain would start looking for evidence. Oh, yeah, you did this last night too. You never learn. Look at you. You're just going to gain so much weight and you should be doing better. Like go into the bully mean judgment. Okay. That question is not going to take you anywhere useful, right? Another one, why can't I figure this out? And another, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? Another one, what do I do? What do I do? Okay. These thoughts are just dead ends. They will take you nowhere. They will keep you spiraling. They will keep you going round and round and round. Okay. So let's move on to high quality questions. The higher the quality of the question, the higher your magnificent, incredible, powerful brain will think. You are pushing your brain to think at a higher level. You're asking it to step up and solve a problem. You are raising the value of your own brain. Isn't that awesome? Like you get to choose to do that, to raise the value of your brain. So first of all, I want to talk about this podcast for a second. Okay. So I've learned a lot about this process of asking my brain questions by creating this podcast. Okay. So people ask me all the time, like, is it hard for you to come up with new things to talk about? And how do you do it every single week and things like that? Well, I've had to learn to ask my brain good questions. And I listen to my clients, I listen to where they're stuck, and I have a little index card on my desk and I write down topics that come to mind, like this would be useful. Okay. And then I take that and I ask my brain questions. I go, okay, what about this would be useful? What would be the best way to cover this? How could I go even deeper? What examples could I use? Okay. And I use my brain to come up with the content instead of waiting for something outside of me to magically, tell me all the things that I need to say. I ask my own brain. And I've gotten better and better now that I'm on episode 60, right? This is my 60th episode to record. I'm much better at it. I used to take a really long time planning out my podcasts. I've gotten more efficient. I can get it done quicker because I've learned to elevate my brain. Okay. I've learned how to do it faster. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples of different ways, first of all, to notice what you're even thinking. Okay, we can't challenge our thoughts if we don't know what those thoughts are. So I'm going to teach you how to notice your thoughts, and then I'm going to teach you what to do with them. Okay, number one. Number one is called a thought download. So a thought download is basically where you are taking out a piece of paper and you are dumping your brain out on paper. You are just dumping out all the thoughts, all the thoughts. Okay. You're just dumping it out. And then what you can do with that is you can look at all of the things that you wrote down and you can sort through and you can separate what is actually a circumstance and what is a thought. And a circumstance, again, is the most boring factual fact, like very boring. Like he said this, she said this, I weigh this much, he did this. Like it's just like very, as boring as you can make it, honestly. Okay. Just the facts. And it has to be something that everyone in the world would agree happened. Like if you went into a courtroom, the judge would say, yes, that's factual, like the weather. Okay. Boring. Okay. Where it gets juicy and dramatic and all the things is in the thoughts. That's where we bring all the drama, all the pain, all of the things, okay, is in our thoughts about it. Okay. So separate them out. What you'll notice is that most of what you write down are thoughts. Okay. Most of it, like probably 95%, if not 100. Okay. Now that's one method. Another method is to write down a specific circumstance. Okay. Write that at the top of your paper, the actual circumstance. Like he said, and then write down the words that he said. She said, write down these words. I said, or I did this, or I work this many hours a week, or I cook dinner this many hours a week, whatever it is. Okay. Even things like depression or anxiety. Let's say that you struggle with depression. Okay. It's a chemical imbalance in the brain. Okay. We're going to put it in the circumstance line. Depression. And yes, sometimes our thoughts can create more depression, but I'm talking about depression like in the clinical sense right now. So you put that at the top of your paper and then write down all of your thoughts about it. Okay. Just like with, like he said these words, you write down the words and then you are going to write down all of your thoughts. What a jerk. I can't believe he said that. He must be right about me. Why would he say that? He doesn't care about me. On and on and on. Okay. Now, what do you do with those thoughts? Okay. If there is a circumstance that is currently taking up a lot of space in your brain, I want you to use a thought around that. Grab one of those thoughts that's on your paper. And now there's a couple of things that you can do with it. Okay. Depending on how you like to see things on paper. So you're going to just be going straight down the paper like a journal entry. Okay. So let's say that the circumstance is this. Okay. Let's say that your spouse said, I was never happy with you. I was never happy with you. Okay. I was never in love with you. Your thought is, I guess I don't know anything because I thought we were happy. Now, this is where questioning thoughts comes in. Okay. You might take that at face value. What do I know? I just don't know anything. But what we're going to do is we're going to poke some holes in that thought. Okay. So here are some questions that could help open that up. What do I know that was real? What was real in my mind? How do I know? What if he's wrong? What if it's true that he never was happy? So what? What am I making it mean about me? Is that true? Why or why not? How can I know? Okay, can you see how those questions are leading you to find your own answers? They're in your brain. You're not asking anybody else. You're asking your own brain to think at a higher level. Okay, so I like to think of it like a big, huge balloon. Okay, you got this big balloon in front of your face. It's this huge balloon that you blew up and it's right in front of your face and you can't see very well around this balloon because it's right in front of you. And each little question that you're asking is like taking the tiniest little needle, like the tiniest needle, and going to the base of the balloon and poking the tiniest little hole. Okay, we're not popping the balloon. Okay, because our thoughts aren't like that. Like we like to hold on to our thoughts. but we are deflating it a little bit. We're changing its shape just a little bit. So we're getting some motion. So that tiny little hole, I hope you can imagine this balloon just kind of shrinking down right in front of you. Like it can be kind of a slow process sometimes, and sometimes it can be a big shift. Okay. You just keep playing with these thoughts until you feel it kind of deflate, where it's just like starting to shrink down. Okay. Now, another method. Okay. Do you remember, like, I think they're called bubble charts from school? In the middle of the paper is the thought that I want you to examine. We're going to do something with that. Draw a circle around it, and you're going to draw a line off of it. So in the middle, the thought that I'm going to use as an example is, I am too emotional. Okay. We're drawing a line, and that line says, what does that mean? And then you're drawing another line and saying, it means you cry too much. And then you're drawing another line saying, are you sure? How do you know when it's too much? And you're answering that. And so you're going to have all of these branches coming off of that initial thought. You can start another arm with what else could be true and see where that takes you. Drawing another one and saying, is it possible that you are healthy for letting yourself feel? Drawing another one. What if you're the healthy one? Okay. Just like that, you can take up the whole paper with so many thoughts that poke a hole at the original thought. You can ask, how old is this thought? I love that thought. How old is this thought? I am too emotional. Someone told me that when I was in like third grade, and I believed them. That's a pretty old thought, right? Okay, so now what do you do with those thoughts? First, go back to the original thought. What is it costing you to continue on with the same thought? What's it costing you? Because sometimes we just really like holding on to these thoughts, kind of like our little comfort blankets, okay? Our little wubbies. Like, we like to hold on to them because we know them so well, okay? So we're going to model it out. We're going to turn it into a thought model, okay? So the circumstance is, he said he was never happy with me. I guess I don't know anything because I thought we were happy. So now, if that thought continues on and is rehearsed over and over again, it's probably going to create a feeling of confusion. And from that feeling of confusion, it's probably creating second guessing, doubting, blaming yourself, wondering what's wrong with you, wondering how you didn't see it, wondering what's wrong with him, right? Just giving more questions and going back and looking over your life with this person and going, I really didn't know anything. That's the result you're creating. I don't know anything. Second guessing all of your decisions, because like, if I didn't know that, if I don't know that, I don't know anything, and keeping yourself kind of in this stuck spiral. Okay. That second model, crying 3 times a week. The thought is, I'm too emotional. The circumstance that I came up with is crying 3 times a week. The thought is, I'm too emotional, feeling embarrassed. The action you're taking from that feeling of embarrassment is trying to avoid your own feelings so you don't cry. I'm too emotional, so I'm just going to try not to cry. And I'm going to judge myself for wanting to cry. And I'm going to blame my spouse because he makes me want to cry, for sure. And I'm going to resist my feelings. And here's the problem with this, is that the result you're creating is that you're layering on even more emotions to the initial feeling that was leading you to want to cry. And you're not processing the actual emotion, which makes you more emotional. Right? You're piling on more emotions. You're making yourself more emotional rather than letting yourself process the emotion and getting back to kind of a neutral place. Okay. So you can continue in these models and nothing will change. Round and round you go. Or you can examine them. Keep what is actually true. Let go of what is not. Okay. This is the art of self-coaching. If you find some truth in something, own it. Own it. It's not a problem. Okay, notice what you're making it mean about you. Drop the judgment. So for example, if somebody says that, some words to you about, you're being selfish, and you can go, okay, that's their thought, but is there any truth to it? And you can check in with yourself and go, sometimes I can be selfish. Okay. And then you can look at what you're making that mean. What does that mean, that sometimes I'm selfish? What does selfish even mean? Like, there's so much work you can do that. What does it mean to be selfish? What have I been taught about being selfish? Do I like that? Do I agree with that? What's the problem with being selfish? Okay. You can go all down and really understand your brain and what you're making things mean. Okay. So you can notice things that you might find some truth in. Just look through it, examine it, check in with yourself. Is this in alignment with who I want to be? If not, you can decide how you want to be moving forward, right? And if there is no truth to it, then you get to decide what you want to think instead. You get to just decide. You get to use your brain to tell yourself a different story that helps you to actually move forward. Okay. What happens if you do this on a regular basis is you become a pro at coaching your own brain and helping yourself move forward. Okay. You build self-trust. You learn to more quickly discern between thoughts and circumstances and how to evaluate them. You will be able to move forward out of negative thought cycles faster. Okay. You'll be able to move forward. I want you to go have fun with this. Okay. In wrapping this up, I'm going to leave you with some questions. I'm going to leave you with some questions that you can ask your brain. Okay. All right. If any of these stand out to you, just write them down and go ahead and practice them. Okay. Where did I get this information? Where did this come from? Why am I believing this? Why am I choosing to think this? So what? Is it true? How do I know? Why not? Why is this a problem for me? Why is this a problem? What am I making it mean? Who would I be without this thought? What would my life be like without this thought? Is it helpful? Is it useful? Does believing this serve me in some way? What is the upside to believing this thought? What's the downside? Do I want to keep believing this? Am I willing to let this go? What else could I think? What might someone else think? Do I love this reason? Are there any other options? Is it possible that there's another way to think about this? Can I imagine something different? And one of my favorites is, what would love do? What would love do? Okay, my beautiful friends, that's what I have for you today. You truly are one thought away from a breakthrough. One thought. I do not subscribe to the thought of people that it has to take months and years to move forward from certain circumstances. Do you want to know what it really takes? It takes processing your emotion and looking at your thoughts and deciding what you want to think on purpose. That's what it takes. You're one thought away from that next breakthrough, my friends. All right, I hope that you found this helpful. I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast. If you would like to be kept in the know about upcoming free classes, new podcast episodes, and other ways of working with me, go subscribe to my weekly email. You can subscribe at AndreaGiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. Again, it's AndreaGiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. I will see you next time.